What's up, Fanatics? Welcome to week 2 of our summer series here as we dive inside Iowa State football, looking ahead to what should be an awesome 2024 season. It's not that far away. Less than a month from today, I will be in Las Vegas for Big 12 football media days, which seems just insane. I'm not ready for the season to get that close, but nonetheless, we're going to get you there. Here with this summer series, a quick reminder for those of you who are listening on the podcast network, that's great. You're welcome to do so. All of our shows are on YouTube now, and we are seeing a heavy dose of traffic, not only just on Cyclone Fanatic, but the entire podcast industry is seeing a flood of people going to YouTube. You can watch all these interviews, pull it up on your TV, specifically these interviews and last week's with Matt Campbell and Rocco Beck. You can watch it like a TV show, really, and it's really cool. Aiden White does a great job for us with the production. So if you'd like to subscribe to us on YouTube, Cyclone Fanatic TV, and not only that, throughout the year, we put all of our press conference footage, all that good stuff. It's really a hop in place over there. So we'd like to welcome you to do that. Today's show is with Iowa State's new offensive coordinator, Taylor Mauser. He is not new to the football program. He's been with Matt Campbell in Iowa State for quite some time. He was with Matt Campbell back in the Toledo days, but he's worked his way up at 33 years old to become Iowa State's brand new offensive coordinator, replacing Nate Scheelhaase, who's now in the National Football League. And this is one of my favorite interviews I've done in a while. Mauser's so open, which is very refreshing. And all these guys are really like that when I get them in these sort of laid back settings, which is what I really love about this particular coaching staff. But Mauser's awesome. I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. Our football summer series is presented by 4 great sponsors, and I'll tell you about them throughout today's show. But I first want to recognize our friends at Central States Roofing. They handle commercial roofing throughout all of central Iowa. Great people are the Nelsons. And one of the things right now, they are hammering home on a lot of roof leaks, a lot of damage to roofs with the severe weather that we've had. Really, the late May and early June have been tough here in the great state of Iowa. And I want you to remember them. They do a lot of commercial stuff, but they'll do anything from your home roof, your business roof, new constructions, re-roofs, all that good stuff. Our friends at Central States Roofing. Also, my friends Clay and Chase Natuzel. Thank you to them. They are Raymond James Financial Advisors. Clay's been doing this since 1992. That's a lot of experience, 32 years worth. And Chase joined the business 3 years ago. He's been in the industry for 5 years. I met with these guys before we brought them on as a sponsor. Really cool guys, and they are passionate Cyclones. We thank them for their sponsorship here of the summer series. And we'll tell you about the other two when we come up, Robinson Implement and Fairway Meat and Grocery. But let's get this thing started. Let's hear from Iowa State offensive coordinator Taylor Mauser. Here's the first part of my sit down with him. All right, Coach. Well, we've done this with in previous iterations of the Mauser regime.
Yeah.
Now you're the head guy on offense. Congratulations.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
We haven't had this conversation yet. I've been looking forward to it.
Well, maybe these are the interviews are what's helping me work my way up around here. So I'll give you a little credit.
Well, I don't need any of that. I am interested though. I was really happy when you got promoted, not just because I like you and think you're a good guy, but one of my favorite parts of the whole Campbell era is how he gives his people opportunities. What does that mean, like within that staff, when you know you have a shot at something like that?
Yeah, it means everything to me. And my whole thing since I've started working with Campbell was just pay him back for being the only coach that really gave me a chance to coach football, and whatever opportunity that was, either as a recruiting person or an intern or a GA. Like, I just wanted to find ways to add value to pay that guy back for what he's done and the impact he's had on my life. And luckily for me, he's continued to trust me, and every chance that I've gotten to be able to pay him back for it and just do the best I can for him. And I love our staff and I love the players, obviously, so it make it really easy.
Yeah. You have a really interesting background to getting here. What I'm curious about is when it comes to calling plays and being an offensive coordinator, at what point in your career or even life did you know that's something you wanted to do? Because
Yeah.
everybody wants to do different things, right?
Yeah.
When you're a pup in this business.
Yeah.
When did that click for you?
Probably later than sooner. Like, I don't know if I got into the profession to necessarily work my way up and had dreams of becoming a head coach and offensive coordinator. That really wasn't the case. Like, I love being in the locker room. I love being around the kids. I love the developmental piece. Like, I could just stay on the field and work with those guys all day. And that's what I fell in love with A sports and, football and coaching. And as I've worked with Coach Campbell and I've worked with a lot of really good coaches, I've just kind of gravitated and found it to be something that if I got my chance to do, I think there's a certain way that I'd like to do it and believe in myself to do it. And we've watched a lot of film here, and, Coach Campbell has had a lot of success offensively and the other coaches that we've had here. So, you have your way of thinking that you want to do it, and I have mine certainly, but I would probably say here in the last couple of years, it's really been something that I felt like if I got the chance to do it, I'd love to. And if not, then, I love being the tight ends coach also.
So the last couple of years, give the fans some insight on what your role has been other than the tight ends coach, right? Like,
Yep.
I know you guys all have stuff that you're doing when it comes to game planning or whatnot. What was it under Nate that helped you kind of catapult into this role when he decided to go to the NFL?
Yeah, I think just probably like how organized and the structure and the process that Nate had day in, day out from the time that he became the offensive coordinator. And he did a lot of things that made it easier on us. And there's a very clear structure, and it was very organized. Everybody knew what their roles were going to be going into the game plan week, going into the game, where we were looking, where our eyes were, what we were responsible for in the game plan process. And I think taking that away to just be able to maximize your time, to be able to get through all the film, because we're so thorough. We watch stuff from years and years and years back just to try to find the best way to help our kids be successful. So he really provided a great structure and a great plan that I'm still going to do, a lot of those things, and how good that guy treats people and cares. Like, he's got a huge heart and he's a great guy. So me being able to work with him as a position coach and then him as the offensive coordinator, there was so much that I've learned. And really the same thing with Manning before him, and Joel Gordon and Golish and the coaches that we've had that have been here that have come and gone. There's been so many little wrinkles that I can take away from Jason Candle, who's the head coach at Toledo. Derek Sage, who was offensive coordinator in Nevada last year, was a guy I GA'd for. So there's been Lou Ayeni was here. He's a guy with the Broncos. So you try to just reach out to as many people as you can to just learn what's made them successful, or where their faults were too. But working with Nate last year and the coaches we've had here, I've been really lucky.
That's a heck of a network.
I'm not trying to name
No,
drop or
I know, but I'm
act like I know a bunch of people, because I don't. I've only worked here for Coach Campbell. But yeah, there's the last couple of weeks while we were traveling on recruiting, I was able to really.
When you put them all together, though, it's like, wow, that's a lot of guys that have come through here.
Yeah, there's been a lot of guys that have come here, and it's been really good for me because I've really only got to work with Coach Campbell. So like the terms of what we use here are what I'm really, really familiar with. But to be able to learn, what other people are doing schematically and be able to translate it to what we're doing and what they've gone and learned and be able to bring it back here, it's been invaluable.
It's my favorite part of football is how it evolves.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll like go back in time a little bit, and then it'll come back, and somebody's got this new wrinkle, and then that becomes the thing, and everybody wants to copy
Very
it.
trendy.
Where are we at right now, like with this new league, I guess? Because like forever, the Big 12 was the league that was scoring in the 60s and 70s, and now it feels like everybody's slowed down just a little bit.
Yep.
And defenses have changed too, right? And our guy has had a big reason to that, John Haycock. He really changed college football and in the NFL, if you think about it. Where do you see this league at offensively now, being with 16 teams the way it is?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. When we first got here in 2016, we didn't have any tight ends on the roster, really.
I remember, one catch or something like that.
We played in a lot of 10 personnel that first year, and there wasn't a lot of tight ends in the conference. And, you look at it now, and I'm not going to say that we, necessarily made that happen or caused it to happen, but everybody plays in 11, 12, even Texas Tech plays in 13 personnel sets. And I certainly feel like it'll be interesting to see what these new teams bring. And there's just a whole different dynamic and wrinkle in college football now with this headset, that you can use now to talk to our guys.
Great point.
How does that slow things down? That was another big thing with us this offseason and reaching out to people. And I got to go to a couple OTA stuff and see how they do it and talk to those people. But I think, there's a 2-minute warning now. So what does that do for the game? I still think it'll be probably a similar pace to what it has been. I think it'll be 11 and 12 base conference with wrinkles of some of the old stuff with spread and 10 personnel and wrinkles of 13 personnel. But it'll be interesting, and we're always trying to find ways to stay in front of that curve. And Coach Haycock and the impact that he's had in college football, like you said, and in this conference with us being able to see that defense. And, I think it's helped us because our offensive players understand the defense a lot more than most people. So it'll be interesting to see what these new teams bring to it and the wrinkles that they have with Utah and Colorado. But we're always going to, play to the strengths of our personnel.
I honestly, not putting any pressure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the offense might be underrated going into the year.
Yeah, I agree.
Honestly, I think I might have been a part of that because I think we've all been so distracted by everything else in college athletics that people are just kind of getting into football mode a little bit later.
Yeah.
But, what a dream for your first coordinator job, right?
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
You guys are loaded.
Yeah, we got a lot of talent.
Don't screw it up, man.
Believe me, I've told everybody, and I'll tell whoever listens to this, we have so much talent on offense. If we're not good on offense, it'll be 100% because of me. Our coaches are incredible. Noah Polley's incredible. Tyler Roll's incredible. Ryan Clan's incredible. Jake Waters are some of the best coaches I've ever worked with. We have great players at receiver, tight end, our O-line, our quarterback. They check all the boxes. There's one box that hasn't been checked yet, and it's me calling plays. It hasn't happened. So all you Iowa State people that are listening, I'm very much aware. And if we're not good, it'll be my fault.
I love this. Don't ever lose this.
I'm not
going to. Don't ever lose this authenticity. This is great.
I'll try not to.
Someday you're going to be like a head coach of like the Vikings or something, and I'm going to remember when you're,
I don't know about that, but yeah.
No, but I was going through this last night. Bloom and I did a show, and we just said, let's just do a deep dive on the offense. And I do think that there's an aspect of Iowa State fans that don't know how good Travis is coming in, Jalen Travis.
He's an animal.
And the one who I'm very guilty of not forgetting about, but is Eli Green, where he committed and there was just a bunch of stuff going on. Pro Football Focus comes out with that rating for this kid. And what does that mean exactly? I don't know, but I know that you guys have this track record of cherry picking these wide receivers that you think can take it to the next level. And you're 100% so far. You've got Hutch, you've got Jalen, what he did last year. Jaden, excuse me. Got a lot of Jalen.
I'm with you.
Yeah. I'm just to me, those seems like the perfect additions to what you already had going forward.
Yeah, I think so too. And they have different skill sets and wrinkles that they can add to us. And they give us something that, even Jalen from Eastern, what he is and how dynamic that guy is and how fast he is, we're going to have to find ways to get these guys the ball. And I think we could be really creative, and it's going to make us, a multi-dimensional offense that I think can be tough for people to stop, hopefully. And more than anything, they're great kids. None of them are here because they want to get theirs necessarily. They want to come here and help us win football games, and they work really hard and they push the needle every day. So I'm excited to be able to game plan them ways to get the ball.
The quarterback is, I don't know if I've seen Iowa State's quarterback room be this deep.
Yeah.
It's young, but it's easy for people to forget that a year ago, J.J. Cole was right there with Rocco at this time.
Oh, yeah.
There wasn't a starter. And then the kid from Southeast Polk I'm obsessed with. I have been for 3 years.
Yeah,
since I first saw him as a sophomore, I'm like, oh, my God, Moberly, I need that kid at Iowa State.
Yeah.
How do you analyze this? Because obviously Rocco's your guy. But we talk about how loaded you are everywhere else. Quarterback goes down, right? How comfortable would you be if you had to put those other two guys in?
I'd be really comfortable with those guys. I know just those guys don't leave the facility. They don't leave the facility. I'm telling you, JJ's in there all the time, watching film. Him and I go at it and Connect Four all the time back there. The guy doesn't leave. Moberly's the same way. Like, those kids work. I know how important it is to play quarterback here for those guys, and just the effort and how much they care. And, like, I trust those guys. Like, they're talented. The talent obviously speaks for themselves. And the thing you get nervous about as a coach is, like, do these guys understand, like, what we're trying to get out of the play? Do they understand what the reads are? And I think now with us being able to talk to those guys, like, on the headset, it makes you feel a little bit better, where you can add some of those situational reminders on the headset that some of those young quarterbacks maybe forget or struggle with. You can talk to those guys on the headset now, which is another good tool that I think will make coaches feel better about, if a other quarterback does go in there, you could keep it simple and you can talk to them and you can remind them just the little things that sometimes when the game moves fast, you can slow it down with some of those little tips and situational things.
It's got to help them too. I would think that you speak their language already, as opposed to bringing in some coordinator from Timbuktu, right? Like, to me, like, that was why I loved it the most. I think if you guys had 2 or 3 returning starters, I would have been like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it made so much sense from that aspect.
That's huge for, not just the quarterbacks, but that was a big deal for a lot of our guys. And I want those guys to be able to play confident, and it's hard to do that when you're still trying to learn the language and the lingo. Even when we have new guys, like when I was telling Eli, he's like, what do I need to know when I come in? I'm like, if you just came in and you just knew the formations and you knew exactly where to go and line up, then the rest of the offense will slow down. And I think it's like that with everybody. When you know where everybody's at and you know what the verbiage is and the plays are, you're not thinking about stuff and you can just play football.
Eli, you said you were talking about different wrinkles. I haven't seen him much.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's never seen him. What is he as far as a wide receiver goes? Because we know a little bit about the other guys. I'm obsessed with Benny. He showed us a little bit what he could do in the bowl game, which was a big-time catch. What does Eli bring to the table?
Yeah, I think Eli's a guy that you probably can't find enough ways to get the ball in his hands. Like, you could put him in the backfield. He's a guy that can play slot and stretch the field and run crosses. And I'm not against, I think he could be a guy that you put as a single into the boundary and let him go win one-on-one and be a single out there to the field. And obviously, if you're a North Dakota State receiver, you have some grit to you. So he's a guy that can go in there and dig out nickels and block safeties and block corners, and a guy that we can be really creative with where he's at on the field and throw screens to, and, like we do with Jalen and Bramer and some of those other guys. So I think the sky's the limit for what that guy can be, but I just love the effort that he plays with and he blocks with. It just shows that he really cares about the big picture.
All right, we'll get you back to that interview with Taylor Mauser, the offensive coordinator at Iowa State, here momentarily. We want to continue to thank our great sponsors who are bringing you this special summer series as we dive inside Iowa State football here on the Cyclone Fanatic Podcast Network. Robinson Implement is a full-line AGCO Kubota dealership with all of your farm equipment needs, that is. They are proud to power the Cyclone Fanatic Summer Series with 3 convenient locations in Irwin, Pocahontas, and Corning. They have all your farm and construction equipment needs. Really good people down there. We thank them for sponsoring the Summer Series. Again, that is Robinson Implement. Those locations in Irwin, Pocahontas, and Corning. Check them out if you are in that area today. And, of course, my friends at the Fairway Meat Market up in Ames. This place is unbelievable. It's where the old Wallabies used to be. You go, it's the meat mahal. The old Taj Mahal. It's the meat. There's any kind of meat you desire is at the Fairway Meat Market up in Ames. It's my first stop every Friday when I get into town with my camper. I park that thing in the RV Village, dump that thing off, and I'm heading straight to the Fairway Meat Market, and you should too. It's got to be your go-to spot with all your tailgating needs this upcoming football season. All right, let's get back to it. Taylor Mauser, Iowa State offensive coordinator. Here's our conversation. So I mentioned I like your guys' track record when it comes to bringing in these wide receivers and them turning into stars, because there's a track record. The other thing I'm really comfortable about with Iowa State football is running backs, young running backs. So we've seen a lot of guys come in and play as freshmen.
Yep.
And there's always about 6 games it takes to really, even we saw it with Breece Hall, David Montgomery, like pros, some of the best running backs in the world.
Yeah.
And we saw a little bit of that last year with Sama. Breaks out really, his last 6 games were incredible. One of the best running backs in the country if you just factor in those games. What is that? And are you expecting him to just pick up right where he left off there when it comes to this season?
Yeah, I have high expectations for Abu in our running back room, not only because of the skill that they have, but I think Tyler Roll is so special as a football coach. Like, I can't speak enough to.
That was a hell of a ad.
Like
I was shocked when I saw he was coming.
Like, the confidence that I have in our offense is a lot higher with him on our staff. Like, that guy's really special. The tight end room and the running back room share a wall. And when I tell you that guy's in there coaching his butt off every day, banging on walls, like, that guy eats nails. I'm telling you, he does. Like, he's one of the most passionate, hardworking guys that I know. And it bleeds into our running backs and our offense and our team. And I think those guys are going to be a reflection of him. And if that's the case at all, like, they're going to be special. And Abu and those young guys will grow a lot just with the experience that he has as a running back and as a, offensive coordinator and a coach. But my expectations are really high for the running back room, not just because of the talent that's in there and those guys coming back, but how much I believe in Tyler.
All right. You had to know it was coming. Talk a little bit about my passion for throwing the football, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Well, one of the guys, he's running back, is Carson Hansen. I would buy stock in this kid a million times right now.
So would I.
Like, he's one of my favorite players on the roster because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You could just line him up at wide receiver, right? Like,
you could. He's huge.
Yeah, he's that athletic. Can we talk a little bit about him and the running backs in the passing game, maybe a little bit too? Because there have been times in recent years where Iowa State has struggled to run the football in obvious running situations. How shy will you be in, opening that up and pass to run the football a little bit?
Yeah, I won't be shy at all. I think the big emphasis, I don't know, big emphasis, but one of the areas I really wanted to study was this, like, the screen game. And I feel like some of the best offenses that you see, like, have a really efficient, easy, simple screen game that I think we could use to, like, get people like him the ball out in space, and Abu and Jalen and, Dylan or whoever it might be, like, get them the ball in space and let them go make people miss. And I think with the tight ends and the personnel that we have, obviously there's a wrinkle and a role for that. We can get big and get heavy and run downhill and do some of that stuff too. But I think we have some new, unique ways to get those guys the ball, whether that's in screens or split out or throwing it to them out of the backfield. I feel really good about where the offensive line's at right now to be able to do some more 5-man blocking stuff where we can get the back out fast. And I think there's a lot of untapped offense there that we haven't necessarily done in the past that we can do now.
Because Hansen, to me, there's a little Kene Nwangwu, only in the sense, not comparing them as players necessarily, but where there's another guy, same class, like Brees was with Kene, and Kene had an injury.
Yep.
So who knows what happens if he doesn't pop his Achilles at the time. But then all of a sudden you're like, oh, there's another Cyclone in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I think Hansen could be one of those guys. I'm just a huge fan.
I think so too. He's so big and he's so fluid and he's so athletic, and the guy runs downhill hard. Like, he's a hard tackle. So I think just him and Abu are both different, but they're both special, and we're going to have to find ways to get them the ball. So I think it gives us a wrinkle where we could, be, like I said, really creative in how we attack people, and at the same time be really simple and not overthink it at times, and like just keep feeding these guys the ball and let them go downhill and make people have to tackle them.
Is Dylan Lee going to be a guy that's hard to keep off the field?
I think so. Just similar to what I said about Tyler, like, Dylan has an elite why and he has an elite passion. He's another guy that doesn't leave the facility, doesn't leave the indoor. Like, his training and like his approach every day kind of reminds me of David. Just like, he's a guy you see in there working a lot and trying to perfect his craft, and he's very, very driven person. And you saw like what, how he did in the spring a little bit at times too. And as he grows and gets better and becomes, comfortable with what our offense is and what we call things, like, he's going to get better and better. But I think the depth that we have there is going to allow us to be special.
What about last individual that I wanted to ask about was Jalen Travis.
Mm-hmm.
I know he just got on campus, which is awesome. Really interesting. I mean, I feel like he probably could have gone about anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
And played. You guys recruited him out of high school.
Yep.
He got a lot of attention last week when Pro Football Focus came out with its preseason rankings or whatever. What do you see in him that could help immediately?
Yeah, I think the first thing you'll see when you look at Jalen is he is a monster of a human being, and I don't mean like just that guy's like jacked. Like he's one of the leanest people we have on our team.
Wow.
Like
How much does he weigh now?
I mean, he
315?
isn't. Yeah, he's got to be. I bet he's close to like 325.
Okay.
But like he's jacked. He's not like a doughy, soft 325. He's a good-looking 325. He looks like a WWE wrestler.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and I think just like obviously he's from Princeton, so he's smart. Like he understands the game, and he's another guy like that has a mission. He's driven. He knows what he wants. He wants to help us win football games and grow and like learn from Ryan Clanton. Like he knows how good Coach Clanton is and what he's developed. And I think with just the tools that guy has, Ryan, there's a lot that he could grow still, and it's going to be really special to like watch his journey and see where he is between now and just by the time we get to football camp. But he's a guy that is
4.0 Princeton left tackle.
I don't know.
I'll take that every day.
Every day.
Let's go.
Every day. Yeah, I like the brains too. With Charlie and maybe get another trip back to Vegas.
So bad thing for you. I always told Shieldhouse this, that I'm a elite digital play caller.
Okay.
And we've got this new NCAA football game.
Oh yeah,
coming out. So, I'm going to be offering you tips once the game comes out.
Send them.
I'm just promising you.
Send them. I'll listen to them.
How old are you?
33.
Okay. So did you play NCAA football games?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I lived in.
What were you like? Were you like? Give me your play calling strategy when you were.
I
playing
liked
the
the
games.
triple option.
Whoa, yes.
I like the triple option.
I love it.
I mean like Navy triple option. I mean like open, pull,
the old Nebraska game.
Pitch. Yes.
Yeah.
I love doing that, and they used to. I hope they have it on the.
Can
new
we
one.
bring that into the Jack Trice Stadium a little
Absolutely.
bit? Yes.
Oh, absolutely. But
Can't give away
we
too
certainly
much.
can. No, we certainly can. And
That
you'll
JUCO
see-
kid from last year, Hughes.
Oh yeah.
I was waiting for him in the option game all year, and I never saw it.
Well.
What's going?
Yeah, it's going to be different. There's going to be there'll be some triple option for sure. But I love they had this game called Tug of War. Do you remember that in NCAA? I don't know if they had it past like 2008 or 9 because I used to play.
See, I'm older than
the
you.
one
Once
that Tebow was on.
Yeah, once I got into college, it was kind of like I shifted out of it a little bit.
Oh,
But
I loved it. Like it was a game where like each guy got one play. So you get a play and you had to score on that play, but the ball would move whichever
Yes.
and you had to get down to the end zone. I thought it was the funnest game that they had. Me and my buddies would play it all day. And
see, I always
played a lot.
this won't surprise you. With me and my buddies, I have friends at Iowa and Iowa State. We would have like a tournament, but we do it online. And I was always Texas Tech.
Yep.
Five wide. Just drove people nuts. All I would do is 5 and outs.
Yeah.
5 and outs every time. Just dink and dunk them all the way down the field.
Death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a wrinkle in that for sure. I think that's especially in that game when I like the gameplay of NCAA so much better than Madden.
Oh,
you
yeah.
can see the whole field, and you can. I mean, you have to be creative with how you play defense. I feel like in NCAA.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything
You
about
probably
defense.
just play man
either.
the whole time.
I don't know anything about defense. I know that you need to try and get to the quarterback, and if you can deflect the pass, that's
that was always me, user DN, and try to swim and
yes,
get a sack.
that's me. I
not
never am dropping back.
Yeah, if you want to get me nervous playing, go play like user safety or something, because then I just feel like you know what you're doing.
Well, you see, you're coming into this coordinator at a great time, but also a bad time when it comes to like perception, because now you're gonna have all these quarterbacks, because the game's coming back.
Oh yeah,
and they're gonna be like, well, I mean, I'm averaging 45 points a game with the same guys.
I won back-to-back Heisman trophies. I'm like Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
Believe me, that's you know what? That's a wrinkle I haven't thought about yet. But if you're a guy that's shredding at home and you're killing it, like, and you got a play that you think can't be stopped, send it to me. We'll run it.
Send them an email.
Yeah, send an email. Just don't say anything hurtful in it. Just put the clip.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah, just put the clip. We'll watch it, and if it fits us, we'll run it.
I appreciate you. Congrats. I'm really glad that you're the offensive coordinator, and looking forward to September.
Bro, I appreciate it. I feel like the luckiest guy, in the country, and excited to be able to try to lead these guys and see what kind of damage we could do.
He's repping the Russ bus. If you're watching us on YouTube today,
That's right, guys. I'm a big Jared Russ fan, obviously.
Those guys are my favorite players in the offense ever. The Sion Buckners, the unheralded dudes that have just gone out and
the unsung hero guys that just will run through.
They'll do anything you ask, and they don't
blindfolded.
get a lot of receptions. They don't get the touchdowns, but they're such a critical part of this offense.
Oh yeah, they're animals, and especially like you talk about Sam Steenbuckner. He actually helps me with the tight ends now. So, I mean, when I first got here, obviously he was a tight end. But when he first came back to work with the tight ends, I showed all those guys. And I've showed those guys his film before. But you talk about a guy that could run downhill and accelerate his feet. That guy was special.
Isn't he one of the more unsung heroes of the entire Campbell era?
Oh, yeah.
If you think about it.
Well, the K-State touchdown down there, the block that he had.
Just think about all the
changes
blocks
the course
he's
of the
had
season.
that have changed games back in the day.
Well, I could promise you, Campbell and myself and the people that appreciate that in the run game, not the air raid people, it doesn't go unnoticed.
But it's also a thing if you go back and study the Campbell era,
Mm-hmm.
when those guys have been injured, have been some of the most underperforming offensive games of the entire era.
Yeah, well, I was telling somebody that Steve-O Klotz doesn't play until the Oklahoma State game. Our offense, there's a couple of things that, for
huge
reasons, but he is, I think he is that kind of player for us. And we're different when he's in the game.
It's also, too, it's been fun. Like when you can watch, again, I'm an offensive geek, and I'm sorry, because then I could be more critical of offense than I am defense. But when I like to sit up in the press box and watch those players.
Yeah.
If you watch that player, it gives you a pretty good indication of, what's to come, because there's so much surrounding that guy.
Yeah, and like he's a guy that can move the line of scrimmage. Like you can never have enough guys that can just win their gap, win the line of scrimmage, and those guys are invaluable. And you're different when you have those guys. You're different in the pass game with those guys. You're different in the run game with those guys. You're different when they're on the field.
You're the man. Appreciate you.
You're the man.
We'll catch up with Coach here as we get closer to the season, but this will give you a good look at the offense going into 2024. Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.